Hello and welcome back to Simple Science That You Can Do at Home. And today we look at the question of how we actually start doing science. Now in science we like to ask questions and gather information about the things that we maybe don't know very much about. To do this we needed a reliable procedure in order to gain more information. This procedure is called the scientific method. You can look up the scientific method online. In fact, there's probably several different varieties of scientific method. The scientific method that I always taught in class came with 8 different steps. It's observation, asking questions, gathering information, forming a hypothesis or a really good guess, testing your hypothesis, making a conclusion, reporting what you found, and evaluating what you have found. So this year in GT, we were going to start out with the observation part of the scientific method. Since it was the very first step, I thought it was probably best to start there. And how we were going to do that is we were going to make nature journals. But instead of just doing this in GT, I would like to extend this activity to everyone at home. Nature journals can be a fun way for you to learn about the environment around you. And for this, you only need just a couple of things. 1 is a notebook. And 2, some type of art supplies. Your art supplies can be anything. I like to use normal pencils and colored pencils so I can make quick sketches of what I see. But in order to be able to do our nature journals, we're going to have to leave our laboratory and take ourselves outside. Now you don't have to take a big nature hike in order to make a nature journal. You could just do it from your home. Maybe you have a flower garden that you would like to observe, or just something in your yard, a tree, or just anything around your neighborhood. You just take yourself your notebook and your pencil and you go outside and you see what you can see. This past weekend, I was lucky enough to go on a nature hike and I came across this wonderful field of flowers. Now while there, I observed a lot of different honeybees. But since I can't go on a hike today, I'm going to find a few things in my yard that I find interesting so I can look at them, make some observation and some sketches. I do have this holly plant, and one thing I've always wondered about was the different types of leaves that plants have. You notice these have really good thorns, so it kind of hurts. So I'm going to take a little bit of time actually to sketch one of these. Another thing that I have that we talked about a little bit last week is some of these berries that I have that grow within my garden. And so I think those are pretty interesting, so I'm going to take a little time and actually sketch some of those as well. And then just kind of walking around looking through my yard, I did find some seed pods from a maple tree. I always think those are pretty interesting. One of the things that's very important to remember when you're doing a nature journal is that you don't have to always be a great artist. You're just making quick sketches and quick notes about the things that you see. On the nature hike I talked about, I saw a lot of honeybees because there were a lot of flowers. And so one of the things I did is I just observed a honeybee. What did it look like? What was it doing? And I just made a quick sketch of a honeybee. This sketch was made later at home because I didn't have a journal. But also honeybees fly around a lot. So in order to get one to stay still so you can draw it would be almost impossible. So I just sit quiet and observed. And when I got home, I drew the honeybee. So some of the things I noticed about the honeybee is just how hairy it is. That's so it can gather and pick up pollen. Because as I was observing them, I noticed there's a bunch of pollen on their back. Also, I've always wondered why their wings are clear and smooth while the rest of them are so hairy. And so I drew the wings kind of clear and smooth while I drew the rest of the honeybee kind of fuzzy. And I even included some of the hairs on its legs. In my yard, I noticed different things. Sure, there were bees outside, but when I was in my yard, I observed some seeds and actually leaves. I drew the maple seed because it's very interesting shape, and so I drew it and also drew the flight pattern of the maple seed, which it kind of spins around like a helicopter. The other things I observed in my yard were just some of the plants I had in my flower garden. The leaves from a holly bush. They had all these stickers on them, and actually if you touch them, it kind of hurts. And I have another bush in my front yard that has some berries. Now they kind of look like holly berries, but they're not. But these berries hold seeds that can be moved from one place to another. And with these observations, I can start asking questions. Why are there thorns on the holly bush leaves? How come a bee's wings are smooth when the rest of it is so hairy? Why is a maple seed shaped the way it is? And really, how far can it fly in the wind? And these observations and questions is where we can start our scientific discovery about these different things. So my challenge to you this week is to get yourself a notebook and some art supplies and then go outside and observe the different things around your house. A couple ideas of things that you can observe would be like a colony of ants. Just watch how they're moving. What do they look like? What are the different parts of their body? Another thing you could observe is the different trees or different plants that you have in your yard. Why are the leaf shaped different? Are they different colors? Ask these questions as you're making your quick sketches about those different objects. And remember, go out there and ask questions and have fun doing it. See ya.